Okay, let me get a couple things on the page here so we can have some things to work with. Okay, so we're gonna make all right. So one of the things I saw a lot of people wanting to learn and understand more about text wrapping or adjusting your box, your copy, your box, your shape of your body copy box. Let me select this and get it in a typeface and a little bigger. Let's go to Window. So first of all, I want to make sure when you're working in InDesign, you're working in typography. You want to always be working in typography. That gives you all your type tools right at hand. And we're always going to be working with typography in this class. So you always want to be in the typography workspace. So when you open up InDesign, you want to be first and foremost in the typography workspace. Next you want to, and so the nice thing as you see right here is as soon as I do that, you can see I can have all my stuff at my hand handy for me, all my elements that I'm going to be using. To set up some type based on what I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to go 16 point for my header, my body copy. Now, looking at it, a lot of us did this. A lot of us did, you know, copy that was like this. And probably 20 some points, I'm guessing. Something like that is probably what most of us did. Because we're looking at it on the screen and we're thinking, yeah, I want to be able to read that. Remember, this is an 11 by 17 poster. And so we got to start working where we're printing work out, because that's going to be very deceiving. That's just too big for body copy, especially on a poster. I don't have any in front of me, but how many of you watched the video and finished the video for how do posters work? Anyone have a chance to look at it? I put it up on our discussion post. Okay, this will be a helpful one to watch to help you recognize some of these key parts. Let's go ahead and get our leading to who can tell me when we're doing body copy, what's the difference of leading we should have? How many points different should our leading be from our body copy? What's comfortable? Should it be 16 on 16? Let me zoom in so you can see it. Oops, sorry.
Is it a 3-point difference minimum?
Yes, we want to do at least a 3-point difference, because what that does, there's some formatting in here that is screwing up my last line here. What's going on? So you see how there's a weird spacing here in my body copy? So let me show you what we do with that. So 16, 17, 18, 19 will give us 19. There we go. So it's gotten fixed itself. There's 19, 16 on 19 is really comfortable reading. Now I'm hearing a lot of us want to wrap around an object. So let's start with that. I'm going to adjust my type, and I'm going to have there be a, sorry. I'm holding my shift key down so I can get a perfect circle. There we go. Okay, so here's my circle, and I want my type to wrap around the circle, right? So we want to have the type wrap around the circle. And we go into type, and we want to look at wrapping it around the circle. Actually, I think it's actually even up here now before I even say that. Let's drop cap here. Oh, no, that's that. Ah, I still want to do it there. Oh, now I'm going to blank on where it is because I haven't done it since last semester. Can you find it? Well, ever we're looking for something, we just
If you
typed
go
it
to
here.
window, and then you should be able to see like a text wrap option.
Is it showing up? Oh, under window, it's in its own window.
Yeah, it has
Oh, it
its own
is.
box.
That's right. I moved it out of the text window and now it's in its own window. Okay, so here's text wrap. So selecting your text, selecting your object, selecting them both at the same time, selecting the type of text wrapping you want. Wrap around an object shape is what I chose. There's also, squaring, but we want it to wrap around this circle. Now, we don't want the type right up tight against it like you're seeing happening right here. So we want to adjust the spacing in the overall layout. Why is it? Oh, I think I have to select the type now. Select the type. Huh, why isn't it letting me adjust the spacing? You do it just on one. Oh goodness, why isn't it letting me adjust the spacing? The wrap options are not. Do I have to just, okay. You got to be in the selection tool, not in the type tool. That explains it. So you have to be in the selection tool and then you can adjust the wrap options. And so what I'm looking at is the space between my type and the objects. That's this top upper right-hand corner. And that's just doing the type. No, I think I do have to select the type because that's doing the box. I want it to be the type. That's doing the box. It's doing the box. Why isn't it touching the type? Contour options is not allowing me to select it. What's going on? Let's see what it says. Text wrap. Why isn't it letting me adjust it? Let's find out. I don't want Adobe stock. Text wrap. Contour options. Why is it bringing me to Adobe stock? I don't even understand that. What is wrong with this thing? I'm going to bring up character style.
Are you trying to add spacing in between like the circle and the text? Or are you trying to
Yeah.
add?
No,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and it's not allowing me to select the wrap options. You see these wrap
Well,
options? They're not.
yeah, will it let you select the circle?
Yes.
See if you can just increase
Oh, do
spacing
it
that
just
way.
with the circle. Thank you, Amber. You're right. That is what it's making me do. You have to grab the circle. Gosh, why is it
Yeah, I
backwards?
just always do it from the object. I don't know. I never tried to do it like from the text, but I know it always works if you select the object and measure the spacing from there.
That is a new tweak of it. So yeah, so she's put it on. So you're selecting the object to add the spacing because I'm like, why? Because the key is you don't ever want your type bumping right into things. They shouldn't be bumping into the edge of a color. They shouldn't be bumping into an object. So with the text wrap, it's asking you to adjust the type from the object. When I was using the type and adjusting this image, you could see it was adjusting the spacer between my type and other objects on the page. So in other words, if I took this copy over here, you see this? It's putting a space between my type and that. So that's what's happening when I was doing it by selecting the type box. So I'm gonna decrease the space so it's not screwing up my type. So I'm just gonna do it right there. And then so you can do it to both your type box and your object. So you have to select each one independently. Thank you, Amber. That was helpful to figure out. I love it when things work a little differently than I remember. So the idea of working within a grid is just that you have the opportunity. So this is an example of the type wrapping the object, the ball we'll call it. And then I have another paragraph of type wrapping this paragraph of type. I'm sticking within my boxes of my frames of my type are all within my margins. So they're all working in that way. So one of the things that we can also play with is when we're talking about framing and the edges of the page is kind of getting ourselves going beyond the edges of the page. Like everything doesn't have to fit right on the page. You can also rotate your boxes anytime you want to kind of bring in some more dynamic elements to pages, to your design. So for example, say I want to go, again, this is a poster, so I want to get it as big and bold as I can. So I might zoom out and get my text box super big and kind of play with, you know, what I want to do here. I might have to make each one of these. Maybe I do it in separate boxes. So maybe I'm like, okay, I know I want to do something like this, but I can't make it work all as one box. So I'm going to cut by Command X and cut work out of this box, this type box. So I'm just going to keep the word graphic in one box. And then I'm going to take and create another type box. And plug the rest of my headline in that other box. I'm going to bring that over here. I'm going to rotate it and play with, again, scale and say, okay, now I have this wrapping feature happening. So it's not letting me put things too close to that box. You can also work with the layers of things by arranging and putting things to the back, putting things behind. Of course, I have this color, so that actually has to go to the back. And then again, I can take that out of a type box and make another one. So my point is I think you can break up headlines. They don't all have to stay together. So for here, this headline is AIJ wants you. And a lot of us we're relying on, you know, the posters of yesteryear to kind of get this message across. But maybe kind of think about what would if this was written by Milton Glaser, like what would how would Milton Glaser put it out for us? So you can break things up. You can wrap things. What were some of the other things that we were having issues with? You can call them out to me. Like, what are some of the other things that you were stuck with? putting an image in a shape. I think that someone talking about that. So we have this ball I just created. So file, place is how we can grab an image. Let me go to our class, see what I have. Let's see, do I have any pictures? I don't have any pictures. Let's see. I think about where I have some pictures. Okay, I have a picture. Okay. So there's a picture. Oops, sorry. That I have in here. Now it's not where I want it, so I can grab my direct selection tool and I can see this brown box. It shows you how much bigger my picture is than the circle I pasted it into. So I can go in and adjust the size of the picture that's in that circle. I'm holding the shift key down, so I'm keeping it proportional. I'm not, oh, I didn't want to do that. Don't. There we go. I'm holding the shift key down, so I keep it proportional, and I wanted to get more of the pattern in there. Right, so there's my picture in the ball now. I have a picture in it. Thinking about your type within your type, you can also adjust scale within your body copy. So it's not all the same. It doesn't all have to stay the same. So looking at so for example, this copy particularly has kind of a checklist of things it's asking its viewer. And so what if I want to make each item a different color to really highlight the questions? So let me see, let me get to a size that I can see all the questions. Let's try 24, maybe 30. Okay. So do you care about kerning is the first question. So maybe I make that a Gotham bold. And I make it, where's my colors? I go over here to my color library and say that's going to be in the red. And then do you consider yourself, oops, I have a lot of layers here. Do you consider yourself a vector visionary? And then I'm going to make that one dark blue, and I'm going to make that also bold. And then we have, or a member of the Pixel Posse, and I'm going to make that one dark red. Also going to make it bold. And I'm going to make it a different typeface. I'm going to go back to Gotham. Okay. So I can do something like that, but you can see I'm having some issues with my type. So I'm going to bring it all the way out to the end. I'm working within my grid. Okay, so if I want to view it without all of this grids and guides, I can hide guides, view. And what it says show, so why are they still showing? If I say don't. Let's just look at preview. So there is my preview of kind of where I'm going now. It's kind of all over the place, but at least it's something that's kind of giving me some thoughts on, like, do I like what's happening? What's working? What's not working? What can I do next? Questions, thoughts.
I have a question about the margins.
Yes.
Like I didn't really want to go into them unless I wanted to bleed off of the page. And then I noticed that like for some of your letters, they're in that margin. Like, would
Yeah.
you ultimately keep those there, or would you try to move them over for legibility? Or do you think people would like understand, like the letter form with part of it missing?
Yeah, I think in this case, in what I have going on here so far, I'd probably make sure that I'm bleeding it a little off the page, knowing that you're going to cut the letters off and that it's okay because there's still enough of the letter that they can understand what it is, right? So there's just a corner of the G, a corner of the A, just to give us some tension, but they can still read the letters. So it's purposeful. It's not like I'm trying to, you know what I mean? So it's a purposeful decision. And you can do it either way. What we realize is like in this case, I don't really want to print on a bigger piece of paper. I still want to print on 1117. So I'm okay with the printer just cutting off the A where it's going to cut it off. It's going to go in the margin. It's going to cut it off. Like this at corner of the A is going to be cut off. This corner of the G, even though it's not cut off on my page here, it will be cut off when the printer comes through. It's going to cut the corner of the circle off, the corner of the G off, and the corner of the A off. And that's intentional. And I know that because I'm in the margin. So I know that's going to happen. But that's a good question. That's a very good question. If you do go into that margin, then the tip of the I and the H is going to get cut off too when we go to print. Let's see. Who was it that was new to InDesign completely? Lysandra?
Yes, that's me.
Yes. So tell me what's perplexing you on InDesign. Let me see if I can answer a few of those questions you might have.
Oh, perfect. I got a couple. The
I
whole
figured you did.
margins thing, the whole margin thing, like I understand like staying inside the margins, but this white part, that's going to be printed out as well, right? You just wanted us to stay inside those 12 margins. And why
Well,
do we
what's
have
going to
12?
That's just because I gave you all the same thing, just to kind of
Oh,
see how you used grids. This was for me to get to know you all better and see how you were using grids when I gave
okay.
you one.
Okay.
So that was, you're going to always use a grid. A grid is how we understand and work with type. It's how we work with layout. So layout, and we're going to be learning a lot about grids, taking a deep dive into the world of grids, if you will. But a margin is important for every page layout because what happens is when we go to print, the printer doesn't print to the edge of the page. So what Amber was just asking me is, okay, so she says, looking at my design here, she's like, okay, Amy, you went into the margin. If you do that, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm going to print on a bigger piece of paper so I can keep these letters just like you see them in my design here? Or if I decide, no, I want to print on an 1117 sheet, well, I know my printer needs at least a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to show you on the ruler here about a 1/4 inch. So where I just put this guideline, everything to the left of that guideline is going to be cut off by my printer. It's not going to print. So this circle isn't going to be a full circle. It's going to be cut off on this edge. So I'll show you with just like let me just draw a white box. I'm going to show you. I'm going to do it on another layer so it doesn't affect the design. Let's go and create a new layer. A lot of the things that you're going to see in InDesign do work very much like Illustrator. Are you comfortable in Illustrator?
Very.
Okay, so you know how layers work, right?
Yes, yes.
Yep, same thing here. So you see I'm making a layer. It's not affecting anything below it. So this white layer I'm putting here to show you where my page is going to get cut off. So you see my G is going to get cut off. My picture here is going to get cut off, and my A is going to get cut off by the printer because it doesn't print to the edge. So that's why we want to keep everything important within the margins. I'm purposely pushing things off because I want to have things kind of push the edges. But like Amber was just saying, look, I'm working to keep everything in my margins because I don't want to have to, go on a bigger piece of paper or have things cut off. and she's right. You don't want to have things cut off usually. I'm just kind of showing you an option of if you did want them cut off, you got to understand that they will be cut off. Like, so, okay, I'm making a choice, right? I'm going to have my letters cut off. Same thing up here. These letters up here are going to be cut off. So it's going to look like that. So these letters are going to be cut off, might be even like that. So I got to be okay with the fact that they're going to cut off there and cut off there. But if I don't want that, I just got to keep it in my margin. If I don't want this happening at all, I just got to keep all my work in the margin, right? And then that's not going to happen. If I keep it there in the margin, I'm golden. Nothing's going to get cut off. Although this one won't go there because I got that text wrap thing on it. I have to put it on another layer. So if we want to avoid a text wrap like I'm doing, I'm going to add another layer. And I'm going to take this and bump it up to the next layer. Oh, it's still going to affect it on the next layer. I think it would. Silly. Turn off my text wrap on this thing. All right. Yeah, text wrap, fun times. Look what it does if it won't let anything get near it. All right. Other questions?
I don't think I have like questions like more than what I had. I think it's like if I work with the tutor and try to like go from beginning to like a project, and I can see how each thing works in the program.
Well, I would also recommend you use LinkedIn Learning since you've not used InDesign at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I highly recommend using LinkedIn Learning. Let me stop sharing this real quick, and I'm going to get LinkedIn Learning going.